Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Hat USA 2022. It's Chuck Harold, SecurityGuy.tv.com. Our next guest, Mr. Ryan Patton. He's the solution architect for Vicarius. Mr. Ryan, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Chuck. Happy to be here.
I love your title. I mean, it's a verb, right? It's a verb. And a lot of titles are not verbs, they're nouns. And that's super important in our business to show that action word. I love the title. Today's topic is making compliance suck less. I saw this and I started laughing. You know, I'm a retired police officer, right? And what am I about? Compliance. That's what we did, right? And it always sucks. I don't care
Yeah,
what side you're on in my business, people don't like it. If you're arresting people or you're on the other side of it, compliance is not, it's not fun. But it's probably the most important thing in a lot of ways, right? So let's talk about this. What is the importance and purpose of compliance in frameworks in general? Why is this such a big deal?
yeah. So I mean, as you mentioned, the police example is a great one, and we can relate that to other areas as well. You know, you can look at things, home appliances with Energy Star and California emissions for automotives and FAA regulations, and we can look at the correlations to what those frameworks have done, and make appliances consume less electricity, and with the uh, California emissions, less smog, and FAA increased safety. So, coming back to cybersecurity and IT, largely going to be the same. We're taking industry best practices, putting it into a regulated framework, and implementing that into your network. And that can be through a goal or through a specific technical control procedure, et cetera. And they're typically, going to be with the goal of upholding the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, of course. And again, preventing data breaches being a large part of that.
So I was doing a survey years ago for a big municipality back east. I was not part of the cybersecurity survey, just physical, but I was next to the guy that was doing it, and I said, "What's going on?" Well, they haven't done an Apache update in 15 years. I said, "Well, is that even
Well,
possible to not do that?" And apparently it was, right? So they should have, and their own internal compliance said you should do that every year. And the guy said, "Well, I have other things to worry about. It's not a priority, right?" That's kind of a policy compliance issue. But it's really intertwined. The policies are intertwined with regulatory compliance is one thing, right? But how is this all tied to vulnerability management? Because I think if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're obviously more vulnerable just in general.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, if we go back to trying to prevent data breaches, we want to implement a layered defense system to prevent against attacks, and access to your network and network traversal, and all of these kind of things that threat actors are going to try to be doing once they've selected you as a target, so to say. Um, and vulnerabilities are always going to be a part of that layer defense, an important part. I'd say with, I think, 22,000 some odd vulnerabilities being disclosed last year. Um, you know, Getting that gap between discovering them in your network and remediating them, as you mentioned, Apache. Great example is Experian, when they had that large data breach. I think 45% of all Americans were affected by that, and that was due to a procedure failure, essentially, where they knew that this vulnerability existed with Apache struts, and it was not remediated. Had it been, in a more timely manner, they may not have suffered that.
Now, I spoke to not you, but I spoke to Vicarius at RSA. I was really impressed with this attitude of, for lack of a better term, it takes a village, right? There's crowdsourcing involved in some of the things you do to solve these problems because we just can't be one company that solves one part of a vertical problem and then have 2,500 of those companies. We got to work together on this. You have a tool, it's called Topia. How does this streamline the process and make life easier for us in this compliance space?
Yeah, so I mean, again, going back to that last point, with Experian, that example, and there are countless others. Having the discovery, looking at traditional sort of vulnerability assessments, you would perform a scan on your network, you'd get report of, maybe thousands of CVEs, you'd hand that to the IT team and say, hey, go patch this. And the IT team, obviously they've got their normal tasks. Maybe they're doing tickets, maybe they're triaging some server outage, or whatever it is. So when you add this large list of vulnerabilities to go and patch on top of that, it kind of becomes running out of bandwidth, and you have to choose which tasks you're accomplishing, and a lot of times vulnerabilities are not getting that priority. Another good example is you look at WannaCry with a lot of the hospitals being affected. That was a RDP vulnerability, had been around for like 2 years, and patched in a lot of cases. Proxy shell with Exchange servers, another great example. So with Topia, we look at it as a holistic approach. So we try to recognize the vulnerabilities that are in the environment on a continuous and real-time basis, and then give organizations the tools to prioritize them, to understand which of these deserve the highest level of attention, and then automate the remediation as much as possible so that they're resolved and remediated in a timely manner.
Good stuff, my friend. I got an idea for you. There's hundreds of thousands of retired police officers sitting around doing nothing, going to the casino, sitting by the pool. Get these guys in your compliance departments. They just need to know the basics, but you give them a rule that has to be followed, they're going to make sure it gets done. And I'm half serious about that, right? It could be a solution. It is kind of a boring topic. It sucks less, but there are people that love doing it. So it's just an idea. And Topia, I think, is on the way to making that happen.
Hey,
good luck, my friend.
Hey, I'll tell you what, my dad's a retired police officer, so I'm right there with you.
All right, very good. All right, my friend, good luck at Black Hat USA 2022, and hopefully we'll see you live from the floor maybe. If not, we'll catch you at the next trade show. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Take care.